This is Daniel Poppy, host of How to Write Good. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Robert Gardner, host of Fantasy Wizards here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Fantasy Wizards, where we talk all about fantasy football. A new show comes out every Tuesday and Thursday night. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Fantasy Wizards. Thank you again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
It's time for the Gregg and Dave Show.
Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in.
Featuring Greg Wattsnyder.
Give me Twinkies or give me death.
And David Bobkey.
I am the Queen, yeah.
Bravely bringing you the stories of the strange.
I went off on a madcap romp.
It'll be an adventure. We're going on an adventure.
What, you high?
Now sit back and enjoy the show.
That is my least favorite thing to do.
Welcome to this episode of the Gregg and Dave Show. Yay! And Dave Show, I should say. I'm the Greg.
I am Dave Show.
We messed that up, literally. Way to mess up our introduction.
I was sitting here waiting. I was all excited to say my name, and then I didn't get to, and then I did.
Yeah.
It was great though. I was ready. I'm a consummate pro.
Yeah. Oh well, we can maybe redo that in post-prod or something. I got all flustered, Dave Show, because today we have a studio audience. Yay, studio audience.
Yeah, we got a studio audience that got out somehow. How did that happen? They're supposed to be behind a wall.
Yeah, they're making weird noises right now. I don't know if you can hear them through this mic, but they are making weird noises behind us. Or they're doing something. I don't know what they're doing, but yes, I'm at a local coffee establishment here in Waukesha, Wisconsin, known as the Steaming Cup.
That's what we told you, Greg. You're actually in a warehouse right now. You're going to be bound and gagged after the show and put into a box.
Or brick house. Brick house. Anyway, so we should mention, Dave Show, we should mention that the Gregg and Dave Show contains both Greg and Dave.
It does.
So if you're allergic to either of us, you should still visit thephmedia.com and download our podcast wherever good podcasts are found, iTunes, Stitcher, or just go to thephmedia.com.
It's the simplest place to go.
It is. But it does contain elements of Greg and Dave.
Yes, usually heavy doses of both.
So we want people to know that.
Absolutely.
We want people to know that so that we don't have to recall it.
Yes, we have some very interesting stories today, including an update on a previous story. But first, we do have to talk about this crucial story. If you have recently purchased peanuts, specifically Clancy's barbecue flavor coated peanuts from Aldi.
Clancy's barbecue flavored coated peanuts.
Yes.
I've never heard of these, Dave Show.
Well, I'm sure they're a delightfully good product. But these are specifically from Aldi's, and they have to recall these Clancy's barbecue flavor coated peanuts because it does not say on the packaging that it contains nuts.
Oh my goodness.
Who would have thought that a bag of peanuts would contain nuts?
Okay. I'm waving at our studio audience who's leaving right now. They're leaving, and we're not even a quarter of the way through the show, Dave. So,
well, they've lasted this long. That's better than usual.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, usually the studio audience falls asleep, but I see
Right.
a few of them still in there. Mrs. Vale, are you still awake? If you got the cattle prod, can you wake them up? Okay.
Maybe they are big peanut fans, and they're sad that peanuts are being recalled.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's it's a big deal here. It's a story from uk.news.yahoo.com. So it's the Yahoo UK, basically. It says Aldi has pulled packets of Clancy barbecue flavor coated peanuts from shelves because the packaging doesn't mention they contain nuts. Supermarket says the item contains cashew nut and is advising anyone with a nut allergy to return them. Here's an interesting point, though, Greg.
Okay.
As peanuts are actually a legume, they have different properties to tree nuts, such as cashews, and trigger different allergies. And I did not know that.
I love me some cashews, Dave. Cashews might be my favorite nut.
I think they are my favorite. Now, I earlier in the week purchased some Planters cashews. Product placement there. Planters, fine product. They've been going pretty quickly here. So, I did not know that, though. Apparently, you can have an allergy to peanuts, but not cashews, or cashews, but not peanuts.
Oh, yeah, and peanut allergies are huge. I do church work with kids. I work with kids at church. We can't have anything. We have a special kids wing where we keep all the kids because, God forbid we place them with the parents, during service, that all insanity would break loose. So the kids have their own area that they go to, and we can't have any peanut products down the kid hallway because peanut allergies are pretty severe. I mean, we're talking EpiPens and everything.
Now, I'm just blown away, though, that, I don't know, I guess for me personally, if I found out I had, say, an allergy to cashews, I feel like I'd be inclined to just avoid nuts whenever possible. How would you react to this? If you had an allergy to, like, peanuts or cashews, would you just avoid nuts, or would you try to get really specific, or maybe test different types of nuts and see if you're okay with some and not okay with others?
Yeah, I'd probably test them. Test them. When you go on a date, you don't just ignore all girls. You have to test them out to see which girl is right for you. You have to test the nut out to see which nut is right for you.
I want to make sure I'm dating the right nut. I guess that's what it is for me, ultimately.
Right.
And anybody who knows my dating record knows that that's kind of true. I say kind of because there's nobody on that list, so it's
speaking of girls that I would date, I had a very fond attraction to a girl once who was allergic to strawberries, and she just went ahead and ate them anyway. Ate as many strawberries as she could, even though she was allergic. She just didn't care about whatever symptoms would accompany her strawberry allergy. Which I don't advise, by the way.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a great idea.
No. What weird thing are you allergic to, Dave? Do you have any allergies?
I don't think I have any food allergies in particular. You know what? Actually, I take that back. I had tuna salad, sort of a thing that my mom used to get years ago when I was a kid, and I would eat the tuna salad, and there was something about it, I think, that I did have a little bit of a reaction to, but it's not the tuna specifically, because I can eat tuna just fine, but other than that, I can't think of any actual food allergies that I've got. How about you, Greg?
Just a couple years ago, I discovered that I had a weird avocado allergy. Every time I eat avocados, it makes my stomach hurt. And other symptoms, which I will spare you the details of. But yeah, so it's a weird allergy. When I eat any kind of tomato product, I feel like I'm going to break out, specifically tomato sauce. So yeah.
I forgot I actually do have a little bit of a lactose intolerance.
Really?
I can drink milk fine, just if I drink nothing but milk, I drink a few glasses in a row, that becomes unpleasant. And we don't need to say any more about how unpleasant that is.
Right. You know what I'm not allergic to?
What's that?
This wonderful ginger tea that I'm sipping right now.
Well, that's delightful, Greg. We should do a commercial for ginger tea or something.
Found only at downtown Waukesha's finest cafe, the Steaming Cup.
There is your plug. Don't say we never gave you anything, Steaming Cup.
Right. Well, I figure I might as well plug the place that I'm broadcasting live from right now. I'm taking up a space at one of their tables.
See, now, I thought we had established you were in a warehouse, Greg.
Oh,
I know there's no way for you to know this for sure, but trust me, we're in a warehouse.
Right.
We're here with our studio audience, which is behind the glass window.
Yeah, now they're behind the glass.
Yep.
Yes.
And we've got Mrs. Bale over on the drum kit. Our producer does a fine job.
We've made sure we've darkened the lights of the building so that birds don't fly into the window.
Yeah, oh boy. Those poor birds.
Those poor birds.
I'll tell you what, though. You mentioned a story from last week's show.
Yes.
We've got an
update.
An update.
Of sorts, anyway, on a story that we talked about a while ago. There was an article from BBC.com, the British Broadcasting Company Corporation, whatever the C stands for. which is a great news source for the record.
Right.
They have an article here actually from Australia. It says Sydney ferry named Ferry McFerryface after a public poll. We had a story about Trainy McTrainface, of course, a few weeks ago.
Right.
And what a delightful thing that was, that they decided to stick with that name.
Yes.
This date is November 14th on the Ferry McFerryface naming. I look at another article here from news.com.au, which is Australian. And not even a day later, it says here, Ferry McFerryface name backfires. The backlash to the new Sydney ferry called Ferry McFerryface continues, with workers saying it is a joke and they refuse to work on it. These people won't work on the boat in any way, shape, or form because they feel ultimately it's silly. It's a joke and they want nothing to do with it.
So Australians are more serious than New Zealanders. Is that what we're saying? Didn't our last story take place in New Zealand? The Trainy McTrainface?
Trainy McTrainface.
Or where was that?
I think that was Sweden.
Sweden. So Australians are much more serious than the Swedes, who, of course, picked Trainy McTrainface.
The Swedes seem like a pretty laid-back group.
Right.
I've heard things about certain kinds of beaches. I'm not sure if we're allowed to talk about that on this show. Mrs. Baylor is shaking her head. No. We will not talk about the kinds of beaches they have in Sweden, but maybe I'll just carry on with the story then, shall I? Get myself out of trouble.
Yes.
Ferry McFerryface has only just been christened, but it's already polarizing maritime staff who have taken a stand against the vessel's name and refused to work on it. Maritime Union of Australia's spokesman Paul Garrett today told 2GB Mornings, a news program or something, I don't know. He was furious with the decision to christen the last of a new fleet of Sydney Harbour ferries Ferry McFerryface. Quote, the transport minister is demonstrating here that he treats public transport as a joke. And here is probably the line of the story, and probably of this episode of the Gregg and Dave Show.
Line of the day.
Here it is.
Line of the day on the Gregg and Dave Show.
He's taking the absolute mickey out of public transport in this state. Yes.
Yes.
I'm not positive what that means.
No, I'm not either.
Yes.
I'm not either. I'm going to look up what Mickey means in Australian after the show.
Yes. Now, I do want to ask your opinion on your thoughts on Ferry McFerryface here, Greg, but first I will mention this quote says, Sydney Ferries has had an iconic history with Sydney Harbour and are named after iconic beaches and iconic Olympians. The workers are just frustrated with it. So do you feel like maybe if the ferries there have, names with some degree of, I guess, dignity is a word I'll use to them, some degree of history, giving honor to people who have done great things. I don't know. Is it really that bad to have a Ferry McFerryface? Should they rename it? Or say, you know what, the people have spoken, we're sticking with it?
I'm thinking of changing my name after all these stories to Greggy McGreggface.
Yes.
I will now be known as Greggy McGreggface.
I can make that happen.
Okay. Excellent.
I will get that done. I will hack your Facebook account and make that a thing.
No, but I think I'm all for fun names, so I think Ferry McFerryface should stay.
All right. It does go on here. Give it a proper name and we'll work it. Give it a stupid name and it can stay at the shipyard. Ferry McFerryface was Sydney's second most popular choice after the now famous jokey McMoniker Bodie McBoatface, the state government said on Tuesday. So, yeah, given that Bodie was already taken by another vessel, we've gone with the next most popular name, nominated by Sydney Siders. Ferry McFerryface will be the harbor's newest icon, and I hope it brings a smile to the faces of visitors and locals alike. It does seem like it would be popular to me.
Dave Show, would you change your name? Davey McDaveface?
I probably wouldn't, because I've more or less moved beyond the being called Davey by most people. Most people, not all people. Certain people are still allowed to call me that. But yeah, no, I don't think I would. I would probably change it to Bodie McBoatface first, or Trainy McTrainface.
There you go. Or Cookie.
Or Horsey McHorseface, a Sydney racehorse, which was also a suggestion from somebody apparently. Of course there's a Horsey McHorseface. Why wouldn't there be? You can find a horse named just about anything.
Well, Dave, I say we go to a commercial McFerryface. face.
Commercial McCommercially face?
I goofed that. Yeah.
Something? Yes, that sounds good. I feel like we're starting to go off our rails here a little bit. Losing track of our Trainy McTrainface. So we're going to put our faces, McFace places, back in the face place and come back with a odd little story here about why you need to come out on your dang due date if you're a baby.
Sounds great.
Or else.
McFace.
Your face. We'll be right back.
I always thought that dogs laid eggs, and I learned something today.
Don't go away. The Gregg and Dave Show will be right back.
Dave Show here once again with the Gregg. Hi, Gregg.
The Gregg.
Well, it's time once again for us to do our commercial for something on Public House Media, some show that we enjoy, or at least one of us, tolerates, right, if not actually listens to. And I'm happy to say that I have been catching Coffee with Keith and Katie Tuesdays on Public House Media. A delightful little show with Keith and Katie, a lovely couple.
Went to school with both of them.
Did you really?
Yes.
I knew you knew Keith.
Carroll University. Proud graduates.
Well, by golly, there you go. I was actually watching an episode where they were trying cookie dough. They were trying the Pillsbury cookie dough versus, I think it was Katie's homemade cookie dough, to see if they could tell the difference.
Ooh.
I'm getting hungry. They also play a little game where Katie has to correctly determine whether a name that Keith gives her is a NFL player, an NBA player, some such thing. It's a nice little show. It's about a half hour or so. And it's just fun.
Yes, so check it out right here on Public House Media and wherever good podcasts are found. iTunes, Stitcher, and of course, thephmedia.com.
Insert something funny to end with here. I'll edit that in later. I probably won't edit that in later.
And now, back to the Gregg and Dave Show.
Nobody does it better.
And we're back on the Gregg and Dave Show. I am the Gregg.
What? Oh, and I'm Dave. I'm Dave's show, right?
Yeah.
You're Mrs. Bale. Okay. Yes, I was just having a conversation with Mrs. Bale over here for a couple minutes.
Mrs. McBale. Bale McBailey face.
Mrs. Bale Mrs. Bale. Thing. Our next story comes to us from KOIN.com. Coin6, CBS affiliate somewhere. I have no idea where this is from.
Is that like Bitcoin?
Probably not. It's probably more valuable than Bitcoin at this point.
Okay.
Is Bitcoin doing well? I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Well, there we go. Gregg and Dave Show, where they talk about things they know nothing about.
Right.
I feel like that's my life, actually. Just talking about things I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with as much preparation as I personally did for this show, you could say I know nothing about.
Yeah.
Of which I speak.
Well, let's jump into the story here, because this is an interesting little thing. The title of this is Judge Serves Eviction Notice to Overdue Baby.
Oh, really?
Yes. Interesting story here from Provo, Utah. Hello! A Utah mom in her final days of pregnancy gave her baby an eviction notice and made it official with a judge's signature, and incredibly, the baby obeyed.
Really?
Yes. Kaylee Bays was pregnant with her third child, a girl, and thought she was going into labor last week, but it stopped. She went back to work to her job as a judicial assistant at the 4th District Court in Provo, and jokingly asked Judge Lynn Davis to serve an eviction notice on her baby. He did, and it worked. Less than 12 hours later, baby Gretzel was born, the Daily Herald reported. So, there you go. If your baby's not coming out on time, serve it an eviction notice. Apparently, this is not a regular thing. Bays said Davis told her it was his first baby eviction notice in his 31 years as judge.
I'm sure it surprised him. He probably wasn't planning on doing that when he went to work today. Honey, what did you do at work today? Oh, I gave an eviction notice. Oh, sounds like par for the course. No, I gave an eviction notice to a baby to come out of his mother's womb. Oh.
Yep, I gave it to a baby who doesn't know how to read yet. A baby who doesn't even know reading as a concept yet.
There must not be anything much for judges to do in Utah.
Yeah, well, it's Utah.
We need to work those Utah judges a little bit harder.
Yeah, well, I mean, Utah's Mormon country, so they don't break any laws, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably not much else to do there, but I kind of like the story, the way it wraps up here. She came 12 hours later. So far, she's a good listener, she joked. She didn't want to be in contempt of court.
Aww. Dave, some people think we're in contempt of court or maybe contempt of something else.
We're contemptible, that's for sure.
But we want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Gregg and Dave Show here on Public House Media and wherever good podcasts are found. Listen next week when we might talk about how Christmas music is hazardous to your health.
That sounds good to me. I will look for a story specifically along those lines.
Excellent.
That sounds great. Maybe some somebody just like beating somebody with a stereo for playing Christmas music too early or something.
Right. Maybe we can talk about cookie dough as well. I don't know. If you have any story suggestions for us, Dave, we have a new Facebook page.
Yeah, we do have a Facebook page. People can find it at facebook.com/ it's the /, I believe. The one that starts in the lower left and goes upper right.
Right, not to be confused with a backslash.
Correct.
Or the sideways slash.
Yes, facebook.com / gregg-daveshow. That should get you there. Greg, of course, with 3 G's.
Right, because I'm weird.
Have you got a cool saying for that? It's Greg spelled with 3 G's because
my mother was so excited upon my birth that she had a spasmodic contraction of her hand, and she kept writing G's.
I would love it if your first name had 5 G's in it.
5 G's? I'll work on that.
4.5 G's.
I'll work on that.
That sounds like a UPN show.
Maybe McTrainface will have 7 or 8 or 9 G's in it.
Yes. Well, you know what? It would certainly help you hawk up a lot of phlegm. Say Greg.
Yeah.
We're officially off the rails. We should probably wrap the show up. Oh, by the way, I should mention the current cover picture on there as of the time we're recording this. If you know that iconic picture from Alien 3 where the alien is getting real close to Sigourney Weaver, the alien was taken out in Photoshop and a piece of pineapple pizza was put in there.
Yes, which goes back to one of our last shows.
Yep.
Which you should listen to.
Absolutely.
On thephmedia.com. And check out all the other great shows. So we'll see you next week. I am the Greg.
And I'm Dave Show, and Mrs. Bale is over there somewhere.
Yeah, she is.
Mrs. Bale, how do we keep getting you in on the end of the show like this? You get all the heroic music and stuff. And see, the music hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
And it's not going to until Mrs. Bale, there it is. Mrs. Bale stands up and the music starts. How do you do that?
You've been listening to The Gregg and Dave Show. The Gregg and Dave Show theme is Take a Chance by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com.